arrest.
Oh my God.
What is wrong?
A man has been killed in front of me.
I was terrified because I knew that John could hurt me. John pushed his way into the house. My head hit the fireplace, and he ran away when I called the police.
The way I found out that it was John was when ATF knocked on my door and said that they were going to name John as the sniper. And what most people don't know is that unfortunate incident of the crimes where random people were shot and killed, that I was the target.
He wrote books Scared Silent and I'm Still Standing, and toured the country speaking to domestic violence victims.
Hey guys, it's Lavender here. Welcome back to my channel. It's Lavender here, and I am back with another true crime case. So today we're going to be talking about the DC sniper attacks, also known as the Beltway sniper attacks, that were a series of coordinated shootings that occurred during 3 weeks in October 2002 in the District of Columbia, Maryland, and Virginia. So let's get started into it. So 10 people from this event were killed and murdered, and 3 others were critically wounded in the Baltimore, Washington metropolitan area and along Interstate 95 in Virginia. So a little background, the snipers were John Allen Muhammad, age 41 at the time, and Lee Boyd Malvo, aka Malvo, who was only 17 at the time. This case has been documented in a bunch of films and movies and books, but here are just some of the things that they were in. Here's 2 examples. They were in, on July 12, 2003, Forensic Files aired an episode titled The Sniper's Trail, which documents the DC sniper attacks and police investigation. And another Lifetime movie, well, not another Lifetime movie, but another, film and television, media or whatever thing. It was on July 22nd, 2015. Lifetime Movie Network aired an episode of Monster in My Family featuring Mildred Muhammad meeting with surviving victims along with family members of the deceased, with Lee Malvo also appearing in the episode while in prison. So let's get into the story. So here we go. So a hole was cut at the rear of a blue 1990 Chevrolet Caprice driven by Muhammad and Malvo as a firing port to be used during their attacks. This allowed them to remain hidden and escape the scene following their attacks. At 5:20 p.m. on Wednesday, October 2nd, 2002, a shot was fired through the window of a Michael's craft store in Aspen Hill. The bullet narrowly missed Ann Chapman, a cashier at the store. Since no one was injured, the shot was assumed to be a random shooting and no serious alarms were raised at the time. However, approximately 1 hour later at 6:30 p.m., James Martin, a 55-year-old program analyst, was shot and killed at 2201 Ralphid Road in the parking lot of a Shoppers Food Warehouse grocery store located in Wheaton. On the morning of October 3rd, 4 people were shot dead within a span of approximately 2 hours in Aspen Hill and others nearby areas of Montgomery County. Another was killed that evening in Tacoma neighborhood of the District of Columbia. At 7:41 a.m., James L. Bushman, a 39-year-old landscaper known as Sonny, was shot dead at 411 Rockville Pike near Rockville, Maryland. Bushman was shot while mowing the grass. At 8:12 a.m., 54-year-old part-time taxicab driver Prem Keller Whalekar was killed in Aspen Hill in Montgomery County while pumping gasoline into his taxi at a Mobile station Aspen Hill Road in Connecticut. At 8:37 a.m., Sarah Ramos, a 34-year-old babysitter and housekeeper, was killed at 3701 Rosemont Boulevard at the Leicester World Shopping Center in Newbeck. She had gotten off the bus and was seated on a bench just reading a book. At 9:58 a.m., 25-year-old Lori Ann Lewis Rivera was killed while vacuuming her Dodge Caravan at the Shell station at the intersection of Connecticut and Nuckolls Avenues in Kinston, Maryland. The snipers then waited until 9:20 p.m. before shooting Pastel Chariot, a 72-year-old retired carpenter, while he was walking on Georgia Avenue at Kimmel Road, Washington, D.C. Charlotte died less than an hour later from the shooting and his injuries. In each shooting, the victims were killed by a single bullet fired from some distance, and in each case the killers struck and then vanished in the vehicle. Fear quickly spread throughout the region as news of the shooting spread. Many parents went to pick up their children at school early, not allowing them to take a bus home or walk home, and schools allowed no recess or outdoor physical education classes until they caught whoever was doing this. At this point, Malvo and Muhammad started covering a wider area and taking 2 or 3 days between shootings. On October 4th, 43-year-old homemaker Caroline Sewell was wounded in the chest at 2:30 p.m. in the parking lot of another Michaels store at Spotsylvania Mall in Spotsylvania, Pennsylvania, whilst loading purchases into her minivan. On October 7th at 8:09 a.m., Iron Brown, a 13-year-old student, was shot in the chest and critically wounded as he arrived to his middle school. His aunt, Tyra Brown, was a nurse who had just brought him to school. She got out and she picked him up and rushed him to the hospital emergency room. Despite his serious injuries, including damage to several major organs in his body, Brown survived the attack. At this crime scene, the authorities discovered a shell casing as well as a tarot card, the death card, and it read, inscribed with the phrase, "Call me God," on the front. On October 9th at 8:18 p.m., the 53-year-old civil engineer Dean Harold Myers was shot dead while pumping gasoline at a Sunco gas station. On the morning of October 11th at 9:30 a.m., 53-year-old businessman Kenneth Bridges was shot dead while pumping fuel at an Exxon station. On October 14th at 9:15 p.m., 47-year-old Linda Franklin was shot dead in a covered parking lot at Home Depot. By this point, gas stations had begun putting tarps up to conceal their customers. On October 19th at 8 p.m., 37-year-old Jeffrey Hopper was found shot in a parking lot. His wife, Stephine, called out to passersby who phoned for an ambulance, enabling Hopper to survive his injuries. The next day, October 22nd, bus driver Conrad Johnson, 35, was shot at 5:56 a.m. while standing at the steps of his bus. Johnson later died of his injuries due to the shooting. Media soon devoted enormous coverage to the shootings in this case. By the middle of October, to all news television networks provided live coverage of the aftermath of each attack, with the covering often lasting for hours at a time. The Fox show America's Most Wanted devoted an entire episode to the shooters in hopes of aiding in their capture. Fear of the apparently random shootings generated a great deal of public apprehension, especially at service stations and in parking lots of mega chain stores. By Friday night, October 4th, the 5 shootings on October 3rd and 2 on October 2nd were forensically linked to the same gun. On October 17th, authorities said they had matched Malvo's fingerprint found at the middle school site with one lifted from Montgomery liquor store scene where the magazine was at. After confirming the link between these two crime scenes, the FBI was able to link these fingerprints to Malvo. After further research into Malvo's background, the police found that he had close ties to John Allen Muhammad. Muhammad and Malvo were found sleeping in their car at a rest stop and they were promptly arrested. A stolen Bushmaster 223 caliber weapon and bipod were found in the back of Muhammad's car. Ballistic tests later conclusively linked the seized rifle to all 11 of the 14 shootings, including one which no one was hurt. Investigators at the prosecution suggested during pretrial motions that Muhammad intended to kill his second wife, Mildred, who he felt had estranged him from his children, according to his theory, and other shootings were intended to cover up the motive for his crime. Muhammad believed that the police would not focus on an estranged ex-husband as a suspect if Mildred appeared to be a random victim of a serial killer. As Malvo was 17 when he committed the crimes, he can no longer face the death penalty. on September 16, 2009, there was a set execution date for Muhammad by lethal injection for November 10, 2009. His attorneys petitioned the U.S. Supreme Court to stay his execution, but it was denied. Muhammad was executed by lethal injection in Jericat, Virginia on November 10, 2009. A memorial to the victims of the D.C. area sniper attacks is located at Brookside Gardens in Wheaton, Maryland. In addition, a memorial was constructed in 2014 in the Government Plaza of Rockville, Maryland. Iron Brown, the 13-year-old victim, who's now, if I'm correct, in his early or mid-20s at this point, he actually did a quote that I want to share with this case. It says, "I remember every detail down to what I ate for breakfast, chocolate chip waffles. My aunt drove me to school, and it was very early because she had to go to work. I was the first to arrive. I got hit right under my left chest. I fell to the ground. A teacher came up to help me. I had my hand over the wound, but it wasn't like in the movies with blood gushing out. I explained that I had been shot and needed help, but it didn't seem to register in her brain. My aunt heard the shot and she reversed the car when she saw me on the ground. I got up on my own and walked to the car. Of course, I'm panicking and praying. Reality is kicking in. My aunt was a nurse, so she knew more than the average person. She rushed me to a clinic. I had been watching the news. I was aware of what was happening. I had asked our PE teacher why we were going outside if the sniper was in the area." And the doctor, Dr. Martin Ilsberger, then chief of trauma and then burn services at the Children's National Medical Center, the boy's aunt, had the knowledge to get him someplace right away. He was shot just underneath his breastbone and it angled up to the left of the region of the scapula. It pretty much hit the liver, spleen, pancreas, diaphragm, and lung. Luckily, it didn't hit his heart. So if you guys like this video, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Bye guys, see you next true crime video.